Hello, I'm Ryan Clark from PoCo Sports Alliance, and welcome to this afternoon's show. Today we're going to bring you leaders in sports and in these shows. Today we have Director of Hockey Operations for PoCo Pirates Hockey, Doneau Menard. Doneau, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Doneau, tell us first, hockey's a big sport here. It's big in the community. Sports are a big part of the PoCo community. As we get into hockey season now, and we've started up the season, I know it's exciting for everybody. You're the new Director of Hockey Operations. What brought you here?
Well, I've always been involved in hockey. I'd been involved as a player growing up, and then as a coach, and involved with the administrative part of hockey probably the last 10 years or so. So for me, it just grew into from coaching a team and managing 15 to 20 kids to now helping manage 500.
Sure. Did you find that your background in the sport really helped to get you in it? Like, what was your background as you came up through the hockey ranks?
Well, I was a player, and later in my junior career when I played, I was a leader on the team and captain. I really found that teaching the sport was going to be something that I thought I was going to do rather than gravitate into a possible career as a player. Coaching was something that I really enjoyed when I was younger, and even when I played helping out some of the younger divisions, I really enjoyed that part of it. So that's how I ended up getting into the coaching it, and it grew into more, now I still coach, but now I can do it at somewhat of an administrative capacity as well.
It's both, eh? When you get working here, when PoCo called you, when the Pirates head people called you and said, Doneau, we want you, what was the draw? What was the attractive part about coming to the Pirates?
Well, the story was I was working somewhere else and they terminated my contract. So, and PoCo called me immediately. Obviously, some people know who I was and my background, and thought I could contribute to improving their program. And so far, it's been really good.
Is that why? Did you see the opportunity when you landed here to say, "Hey, there's a raw product here that we see is good"? You saw the backing. Did you see a good board behind you? What were those things that are, when you're going down your checklist of things that say, I see an opportunity here, I have a vision for this. What are those things that you're looking for?
Well, I grew up in the Tri-Cities area, and PoCo has always been the vibe in the community and the pride in the community has been always strong. And I saw it immediately when I started here, and I met some of the people on their executive committee, and they were really committed to try and improve. And I thought that, for me, that was the first and foremost was they weren't coming to me and saying, this is the way that we want to run our program, and they're going to tell me how to run the program. They had dialogue with me and really said, I hope you know what you're doing, because we need help. And I thought I could help, and for me, it's been awesome so far.
Well, that's great. It's great to see that a local club sees that opportunity to grab a qualified, real person who's got some real professional leadership experience. And I'm sure that's an inspiration to not just the coaches, but to the players. In your role and capacity as Director of Hockey Operations, do you have to work with coaches and the players and manage that? And how does those two things interplay?
Well, I'd like to be able to be on the ice with the players and the coaches as often as I can, but it's certainly easier for me if I can train the coaches on how the program should be running. It has a quicker effect on how that gets that back down to the players. But we have various skill levels in our program, and we have a high performance program, and we have a recreational program. So, you have to be careful that you cater to both of those streams.
Sure, I see what you're saying. You can't just go all high performance or all. Both have to be looked after in their own unique ways.
Yeah.
When you're dealing, I know you're going to have to deal with parents a lot. And one of the biggest challenges in youth sports is how do we kind of talk to our families? Because I know one of the biggest parts of youth sport is managing that drive into a game or training and that drive out of a game or training. What are some things that you can help parents out with to say, how do you manage those drives into the game and out of the game? What are some things that they should be talking to their kids about when they're going? Or do they just sit silent?
No, you really want to support. You want to support the player. You want to support the child, and you want to know that you're there for them. I think that they get a little bit confused sometimes when if it's a tactical thing that you want to be able to tell your child to do and it contradicts or conflicts with what the coach is trying to do, you have to be really careful in not doing that. For me, because I don't really have an emotional tie to the children or the players, I can see the long-term picture of how I want these coaches to coach, and collectively as a group, the development part of it, we want to be able to teach these kids but the parent has an emotional tie to it, and they see the short term of how their player is on these highs and lows, and they go on these highs and lows too, where when you have a coach, or for me as the hockey director, it's not as emotional, because we can see the long-term picture of, you know, whether this player is a 9-year-old and we want to try and project him to be, if it's a high-performance player, we want to be able to project him when he's 14 and 15 years old to get to this level. We have an idea of how that plays out.
So it's really explain to the parents the process.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit of a longer-term vision here, but patience, don't worry, we've got the professionalism to see it through.
Yeah, and often, you know, whatever it is they're emotional about, it's not going to matter in 24 hours, it's not going to matter in a week, but we know that, but they feel it emotionally.
Sure.
So sometimes that's difficult for them to be able to not to try and protect their child or to build their child up in discipline.
Where do you find your role and time is best spent when you're on the ice? I appreciate there's a lot of administration stuff in the background of organizing, a lot of moving parts. Where's your best time spent on the ice?
Well, I mean, I'm only one person to be in one place at one time, so I want to try and teach these coaches the proper way of teaching these kids on how to do these technical skills, for example. And then from a tactical standpoint, you have to be careful not to have coaches to move ahead too quickly where the skill level is not there, and they're trying to teach a tactical situation where the steps that need to lead up to the skill development the children aren't there yet with the skills. So the end game isn't, you can't put the cart before the horse with the tactical situation until they can put the skills together for the outcome of that situation to improve.
Interesting. In a word, why would, when parents have a lot of options to go play different sports, especially in our community, which is so sport rich, why come play for the Pirates?
Well, if you live in
What's the
PoCo,
great part?
I mean, if you live in PoCo, you have to play for your community. It's the same with Port Moody, or if you live in Coquitlam, that's where you play. But
But of all my sport options,
yeah.
why hockey and why with PoCo Pirates?
Well, I mean, hockey's a passion in Canada. First of all, it's clear that that's the case. But you know, I think probably a lot of people find that their decision would be based on financial, and hockey's nowhere near as expensive as people make it out to be. I think that, you know, by comparison, it's around $10 an hour, whereas it would be similar to some of these other sports, but it's got this. It's got a bit of a reputation of being very costly at the younger levels, where it's not. It does add up if you get into the high performance programs and your child is really good and you want to spend the extra money to get some of these extra things for them. But for me, I think that it's a little bit false for people to believe that hockey's as expensive as it's made out to be.
But also that locker room camaraderie, hard to beat.
Yeah, it is hard to beat. I suppose there's not that many locker room type scenarios in some of the other sports, and that's something that throughout my career I still play on Monday nights with the old timers, and it's a big part. It's a big part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think when you're still, it's game
still
night.
fun to be with those friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I would think that the kids take back for years and years, 20, 30 down,
Absolutely.
and probably you even to this day
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
think back to your youth career.
Oh, for sure.
All right, Doneau, thanks very much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Continued success here with the Pirates.
I appreciate you
Best
having
of
me.
luck. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Ryan Clark from Port Coquitlam Sports Alliance, and we're here to bring you the best in sport locally as we build one of the top sporting communities in British Columbia.